Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be explaining paganism very simply, sharing my thoughts and perspectives on what it is and is not, and why it should matter to you. Let's get into it. Alright, so welcome in everyone. My name is Logan Hart. Welcome to the Wizard Factory. This channel is all about giving you the tools and mindsets to create more meaning, freedom, and empowerment in your own life. If that sounds good to you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe down below, and click the bell notification so you see every video. So with that, let's go ahead and just dive right in, shall we? So, what is paganism? My personal definition of paganism is simply animism in action, or what I like to call practical animism. So what is animism? I've covered this in other videos. If you want a bit more in depth, check out this video right here. But just for a simple explanation, animism is a view, a worldview or perspective that all matter in the universe is divine. It is a manifestation of the source consciousness. You could call it God, you can call it whatever you like. Essentially, it is the principle of mentalism, that all is mind and everything that exists in reality exists inside the mind of the all and is in its essence consciousness, just to varying degrees. Animism could also be thought of as pantheism or omnism, so feel free to research those terms at your own discretion. So to reiterate, paganism is simply the manifestation, the practical application of this viewpoint or understanding that is animism. And paganism and animism are the universal ancestral religions of the world. There really is no one distinct form or definition of it, as it shows up in many different forms throughout all cultures and history, at least until monotheism and the Abrahamic religions systematically eradicated them, but that's a whole other story in of itself. So first, let's discuss some of the attributes of paganism. First of all, paganism is non-dogmatic. There is no one way of being it or practicing it or any of that, though they can be tied to specific ancient cultures that developed them and have a historical lineage of the wisdom contained. Paganism is non-denominational and pluralistic. Again, any perspective or tradition that has these attributes is considered paganism. There is no one right way of doing it. It is also non-evangelical. Pagans have no need to force or push their beliefs or traditions or practices on anyone else, because really, what's the value in that? Being a pagan is about walking your individual path. What difference does it make whether someone practices or believes the same way you do? And be wary of any religion that has this as an attribute, this evangelical aspect of it, because you have to ask yourself, what is the motive of that? And why do religions have this characteristic in common with every cult that has ever existed? Paganism has no centralized authority of doctrine, such as a Bible. There's no book, there's no instruction manual on how to be pagan, because ultimately paganism is based on nature, which anyone can access at any time. It is polytheistic, meaning there are many gods, not just one god, that all have their own individual tendencies and attributes. Paganism is naturally syncretistic, meaning that though there are many manifestations and traditions that have existed, if you study them, you will notice that there are parallels, because truth is consistent, it is persistent, and it is universal. So though one culture may have one name for a god or an archetype, and another has a different name, you'll find that they have the same characteristics, the same behaviors, the same patterns, and that syncretism is the root of truth. Paganism recognizes the sacredness and interconnectedness of all things. and depicts the diversity of nature, unlike monotheism. That is monolithic, it's a one-size-fits-all homogenization, which is very unnatural and leads to what I call the monovirus, when this worldview infects all aspects of a psyche. It begins to manifest and show itself in other ways, such as, say, monocrops, monofarming, where there's no diversity, unlike permaculture. Permaculture would be like paganism applied to farming, whereas monoculture is just this homogeneous, static, sterile approach that typically has a very devastating effect on an area's ecology. Much like monotheism has a devastating effect on a person's psychology. So then, as I said, I would define paganism as animism applied. So what are some of these applications of this animistic mindset? First of all, you have mythology, which is essentially just the anthropomorphization of natural forces into useful archetypes, and the distillation of wisdom into stories that are easy to understand as well as to remember and propagate through oral traditions. They have an ability to penetrate the subconscious mind and affect the psyche at a much deeper level than explaining spirituality from a more left-brain scientific approach. So it utilizes the bardic magic of allegory that activates the imagination, the magic, and the wonder, rather than just a literal explanation of reality, and incorporates other natural elements of nature, such as elemental forces, gender with gods and goddesses, or even ties into the seasons, etc. Another application of paganism would be the power of ritual, which I would define as the focusing of psychic energy in order to harness and channel the natural laws for a specific outcome. In fact, this is synonymous with what magic is. You're essentially channeling that psychic energy, but leveraging natural forces, natural laws, and energies to bring about a certain outcome. And then you have pagan holidays, which ironically is where most Christian holidays and other secular holidays were first derived from, and have just essentially hijacked and obfuscated those pagan roots from which they were born. And these holidays are the acknowledgement and veneration of natural cycles and the use of intention and ritual to amplify those effects. So it looks at those natural cycles such as death and rebirth, abundance and scarcity, flourishment and hardship. It understands that these are natural parts of life, and that there's an ebb and flow to things. And by leveraging and amplifying these cycles, we can actually harvest more power from that energy that is already there. So hopefully this is all making sense to you. If you're enjoying the content so far, please give the video a like. It really helps get the video out and helps the channel grow. So just to wrap up with some final thoughts about the essence of paganism. Paganism emphasizes the individual and our each unique spirituality. It is non-collectivist. It's non-conformist. It respects the path and sovereignty of others. It's not forceful. It's not pushing anything. It's about your own path. It is based in nature, which is the source of all truth. This is where all truth comes from. And it's about you and your journey, your direct connection to nature, reality, and the universe. Simply put, paganism is true spirituality. What's ironic is that statement may sound elitist or judgmental, but if paganism were just this one thing, then maybe that would be true. But that's the irony, is that it's not. Monotheistic religions tout there being one path, even though there are thousands upon thousands of different denominations of Christianity alone. Just in the same way that anything that isn't slavery is freedom, and there are infinitely more ways to exercise freedom than there are to create slavery. There are infinite ways to be pagan, and there's no wrong way to be a pagan. as long as it's based and rooted in those attributes that are based in truth and nature itself, and not coming from some pontificating human being or a centralized Bible or something like that. So there you have it. That is my brief explanation of what paganism is and is not. I hope this made sense to you and was useful. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. If you have something to add, if you think I got something wrong and want to share a counterpoint, please do that below. I always am open and welcome to discourse and expanding my own views on things. So share your thoughts down below in the comments. Also, what other topics or subjects would you like to hear me cover? I do appreciate you watching this video to the end, and I hope it was of value to you, at least got you thinking. Again, like the video and subscribe. Don't forget the bell, and I'll see you again very soon in the next video. Take care.